Welcome to the Old Coins Explorer. Hidden in plain sight, these ordinary-looking coins carry stories powerful enough to rewrite lives. A forgotten dollar, a rejected design, a coin people once ignored may today represent unimaginable wealth. Under rare conditions, tiny details can transform pocket change into million-dollar history. If you own one, a single careless decision could destroy a fortune. This isn't hype, it's numismatic reality. Watch closely, because opportunity often whispers before it roars. Suddenly today. First up, the Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of the most misunderstood coins in American history, and that misunderstanding is exactly what makes it so powerful. Released at a time when the United States wanted change but wasn't ready to accept it, this coin entered circulation quietly in 1979 and left behind a legacy that still confuses, fascinates, and shocks collectors today. At first glance, it looks ordinary, even forgettable, but hidden behind its silver-colored surface is a story of ambition, failure, rarity, and the kind of mystery that keeps collectors awake at night, wondering if the coins sitting in their drawer could secretly change their future. This dollar coin was created to honor Susan B. Anthony, a woman who fought relentlessly for equality and voting rights in America. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real woman instead of a symbolic figure, and that alone made it historic. The 1979 P issue, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, represents the very beginning of this bold experiment. Millions were produced, yet almost immediately the public rejected the coin. People confused it with the quarter, disliked its size, and refused to use it. As a result, vast numbers were pulled from circulation, stored away, forgotten, or melted down, setting the stage for future scarcity in unexpected forms. What many people don't realize is that value in coins does not come from age alone. It comes from condition, story, mistakes, and survival. While most 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollars are worth only a modest amount, a tiny fraction exists in conditions so perfect that they look untouched by time. These coins were never handled, never spent, never scratched. Preserved in pristine mint state, they represent what collectors chase endlessly: perfection. And in the world of elite coin collecting, perfection is where prices begin to climb into shocking territory. Then there are the varieties. Subtle differences invisible to the untrained eye, but priceless to experts. Certain 1979 P coins display unusual design characteristics, striking variations, and die features that separate them from ordinary examples. These differences occurred during the minting process, when dies were prepared, polished, or altered in ways never intended to create rarity. At the time, no one noticed. Today, collectors hunt these variations obsessively, knowing that one correct match can turn an average-looking coin into something extraordinary. The idea of a Susan B. Anthony dollar being worth millions did not appear out of nowhere. It was born from auction records, private sales, and whispered transactions involving ultra-high-grade examples and rare errors. Coins that combine flawless condition with rare characteristics exist in numbers so small they can be counted on one hand. These are not everyday finds. These are coins that survived untouched while millions around them were destroyed by circulation, neglect, and time. Their value isn't imaginary. It's driven by demand, competition, and prestige among serious collectors. Condition is everything. A circulated coin tells a story of pockets, cash registers, and daily life. A flawless coin tells a story of survival against impossible odds. For a 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar to reach astonishing prices, it must exist in a state that borders on unreal. Razor-sharp details, original luster, no contact marks, and perfect surfaces. Coins like this are not judged casually. They are examined under magnification, graded professionally, and often locked away in private collections where they may not resurface for decades. Another layer of fascination comes from minting anomalies. During high-speed production, machines are not perfect. Dies crack, strike twice, misalign, or leave subtle fingerprints behind. When these errors escape quality control, they create coins that were never supposed to exist. Error coins are the rebels of numismatics, and when combined with historically important series like the Susan B. Anthony dollar, their desirability multiplies dramatically. The rarer and cleaner the error, the more collectors are willing to pay. The 1979 P issue also holds emotional value in American monetary history. It represents a transition, a risk taken by the U.S. Mint that didn't succeed commercially but succeeded historically. Because a coin failed in circulation, production slowed rapidly in later years, making early examples even more important. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy moments frozen in time. This coin captures a moment when America tried to move forward and stumbled, leaving behind artifacts that now tell the story. Stories of people discovering rare coins in old bankrolls, forgotten collections, and inherited jars are not fairy tales. They happen, but they happen rarely. That rarity fuels hope, excitement, and imagination. The thought that a single overlooked coin could be worth a fortune is powerful, and that power drives a collector market. When a coin combines historical importance, rarity, elite condition, and collector obsession, prices can move in ways that surprise even experts. It's important to understand that not every 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar is valuable, and pretending otherwise damages trust. True value comes from knowledge, knowing what to look for, understanding condition, recognizing varieties, and verifying authenticity separates real opportunity from false hope. Serious collectors do not gamble blindly. They study relentlessly. And when they find the right coin, they protect it like treasure. The myth of becoming rich overnight exists because, in rare cases, it has happened. A single discovery, correctly identified and properly presented, can change someone's financial story. But those cases are exceptions, not promises. What makes the Susan B. Anthony dollar special is not guaranteed wealth. It's the possibility hidden within history, metal, and human error. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching. If you believe you have a special example, the worst mistake you can make is rushing, selling cheaply. Cleaning the coin or trusting unverified opinions can destroy value instantly. Coins are unforgiving. One careless move can erase thousands in potential worth. Patience, preservation, and professional evaluation are the only paths forward for a coin that might be extraordinary. The Susan B. Anthony dollar may be small, but its story is massive. It carries the weight of social change, minting ambition, public rejection, and collector fascination. The 1979 P issue stands at the beginning of that story, making it forever relevant. Whether worth a few dollars or far more, its true power lies in knowledge, and knowledge is what separates ordinary coins from legendary ones. In the end, this coin teaches a timeless lesson. Wealth does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. The Susan B. Anthony dollar reminds us that history, rarity, and attention can transform something overlooked into something extraordinary. And that possibility alone is enough to make this coin unforgettable. Second up, the 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar stands quietly in American coin history, yet behind its modest appearance lies a story that feels almost unreal. This coin was born during a time when the United States was struggling to modernize its money system, and the dollar coin experiment was already losing public trust. By 1980, the excitement of the Susan B. Anthony dollar had faded. People avoided using it, and many never even noticed when it passed through their hands. That lack of attention is exactly what turned this coin into a sleeper, a coin underestimated for decades, slowly gaining mystery and power as collectors began to realize how unusual certain examples truly are. Struck at the Denver Mint, the 1980 D issue represents the final push of an idea that America wasn't ready to embrace. These coins are produced, stacked, stored, and forgotten almost immediately. Unlike older coins that tell stories of heavy circulation, this one tells a story of rejection. And in the world of numismatics, rejection can sometimes create rarity. Coins that were ignored, mishandled, or stored improperly disappeared over time, leaving behind only a narrow group of survivors that escaped damage, wear, and human carelessness. What makes the 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar fascinating is not how many were made, but how few survived in truly exceptional condition. Perfection in coins is brutally rare. A flawless surface, untouched luster, sharp strikes, and absolute originality are qualities that almost no coins retain after leaving the mint. Yet a handful of these dollars did survive exactly as they were born, locked away in mint storage or private hands, never exposed to daily use. These coins exist in a realm far beyond face value. They are judged as artifacts, not currency. Collectors understand that condition transforms metal into wealth. A coin that looks ordinary to the naked eye can become extraordinary under magnification. The 1980. The issue contains subtle features that only trained eyes recognize. Strike characteristics, surface textures, and mint-specific traits that separate elite examples from common ones. When these elements align perfectly, the coin becomes something entirely different. It stops being a dollar and starts becoming a trophy, chased by those who already own everything else. Another layer of intrigue comes from the minting process itself. The Denver Mint in 1980 operated under intense pressure, producing coins quickly for a system already struggling. Machines worked endlessly, and perfection was not guaranteed. Within that chaos, anomalies occurred. Slight misalignments, unusual impressions, and microscopic irregularities slipped through unnoticed. These were not intentional, yet they created coins that were never meant to exist, and unintended coins are often the most valuable of all. The idea of $1 million value doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from extreme rarity meeting extreme demand. When a coin exists in numbers so small that competition becomes fierce, price loses its ceiling. Elite collectors do not ask whether a coin is practical. They ask whether it is obtainable. If it is not, the value rises sharply. The 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar, when combined with elite condition and rare characteristics, enters that exclusive category where money follows desire, not logic. What truly elevates this coin is its position in history. It represents the quiet end of an ambitious experiment. The Susan B. Anthony dollar was supposed to change everyday life in America, yet it failed to do so. That failure froze the series in time. Coins that mark the end of an era often become more powerful than those that begin it. The 1980, the issue carries that weight, the weight of a system retreating, leaving behind artifacts that would later be re-examined with fresh eyes. Stories circulate among collectors about forgotten mint rolls, unopened government packs, and inherited collections where pristine examples were discovered decades later. These stories persist because they occasionally come true. When they do, they reshape lives. But these discoveries are rare, and rarity is what fuels obsession. The thought that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in something so small is enough to keep collectors searching endlessly. It is important to understand that value is fragile. Cleaning a coin, polishing it, or mishandling it can erase decades of potential in seconds. Coins do not forgive mistakes. A single scratch can destroy the very qualities that make a coin special. That is why knowledge is more powerful than luck. Those who succeed in this world do so by understanding preservation, patience, and authenticity. The myth of becoming a billionaire overnight is powerful because it represents hope, but true wealth in coins comes from respect for history and discipline. The 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar teaches this lesson quietly. It does not shout its value. It waits. It rewards those who look closer, think deeper, and resist rushing toward quick decisions. Collectors who truly understand this coin do not measure by hype. They measure it by survival. How many escape circulation untouched? How many retained original brilliance? How many show characteristics that cannot be duplicated? These questions determine value, not rumors. And when the answers point to extreme rarity, the market responds accordingly. The 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar may not look dramatic, but its story is layered with ambition, failure, neglect, and rediscovery. It stands as proof that history does not always reveal its treasures immediately. Sometimes it hides them for decades, waiting for the right moment and the right eyes to recognize them. In the end, this coin reminds us that fortune does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers through metal, history, and survival. Whether worth a few dollars or something far greater, the real power of the 1980 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar lies in understanding what you hold. And understanding is the first step toward protecting a fortune that could otherwise slip away unnoticed. Third up, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar arrived quietly, almost unnoticed, yet its presence marked a turning point in American coin history. Created during a moment when the United States wanted to redefine everyday money, this coin carried a bold idea inside a small, unassuming design. Struck at the Denver Mint, it entered circulation in a world that wasn't ready for it. People confused it, ignored it, and rejected it, never imagining that decades later collectors would examine this very coin with fascination, debate, and even obsession. What was once dismissed as ordinary would slowly gain an aura of mystery. This coin represents the very first year the Susan B. Anthony dollar was released to the public, making the 1979 issue part of the foundation of the entire series. First-year coins often carry historical weight because they reflect the original intent of design before changes, wherein public reaction reshaped the series. While many of these dollars passed through hands quickly, others never truly entered circulation at all. They were stored, stacked, forgotten, or left untouched, and those survivors now form a backbone of the coin's modern-day intrigue. Value in coin collecting is not born from noise, but from silence. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar did not enjoy popularity, and that lack of attention caused countless coins to be mishandled or discarded. Over time, only a small group escaped damage. Coins that remain in extraordinary condition today tell a rare story of survival. Their surfaces still reflect light the way they did the moment they were struck. Their details remain sharp, and their originality stands untouched by time or careless hands. Collectors know that perfection is not common. It is brutal, unforgiving, and rare. A single mark can separate a regular coin from a legendary one. The few 1979 examples that survived in near-perfect or flawless condition exist in a completely different category. These coins are no longer measured by face value, or even by typical collector standards. They are judged by microscopic detail, surface purity, and strike strength, qualities that elevate them into the highest tier of desirability. Beyond condition lies another layer of fascination: mint behavior. The Denver Mint in 1979 operated at high speed, producing massive quantities of coins for a system under pressure. In that environment, machines were not perfect. Dies wore unevenly, alignment shifted slightly, and tiny irregularities formed during striking. These subtle differences were invisible at the time, yet they created coins that differed just enough to matter deeply to collectors today. When rarity meets imperfection, value begins to accelerate. The idea of a Susan B. Anthony dollar being worth millions is rooted in extreme scarcity combined with elite demand. In the uppermost levels of collecting, prices are not guided by logic, but by competition. When only a handful of examples meet the highest standards, collectors stop asking how much a coin should cost and start asking whether they can ever own one. In those moments, money becomes secondary possession, and that is where values can reach astonishing heights. The 1979 coin also carries emotional weight because it symbolizes ambition. This was America attempting to modernize its currency, to honor a real woman, and to change daily transactions forever. When the public rejected the coin, the experiment quietly failed. But failure often leaves behind the most interesting artifacts. Coins tied to short-lived ideas become frozen in history, preserved as reminders of what almost was. Stories persist of people discovering Susan B. Anthony dollars in old drawers, inherited boxes, or sealed rolls that sat untouched for decades. Most of these discoveries lead to modest outcomes, but occasionally one changes everything. Those rare moments fuel the myth, the hope, and the endless search. The belief that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in something so small keeps collectors scanning every detail with intense focus. Yet true value demands discipline. Cleaning a coin, polishing it, or rushing to sell it can destroy its potential instantly. Coins are unforgiving witnesses of history. They reward patience and punish ignorance. Those who succeed in this field do not chase hype. They protect condition, preserve originality, and seek verification before making any move. The promise of overnight fortune captures attention, but real power lies in understanding. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar teaches that lesson clearly. It does not shout its importance. It waits quietly, testing whether its holder has the knowledge to recognize what makes a coin truly special. Many pass it by without a second glance, and that is why rarity survives. Collectors evaluate this coin not by rumors but by survival rates. How many remain untouched? How many still shine with original life? How many display characteristics that cannot be recreated? When those answers lead to scarcity, the market responds with intensity. In that space, even a simple-looking dollar can command respect far beyond expectations. This coin's true strength lies in its contradiction. It was created to be common, yet its finest examples are anything but. It was meant for daily use, yet its most valuable forms never serve that purpose. That contradiction is what gave the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar its quiet power. In the end, this coin reminds us that fortune does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides inside forgotten history, waiting for knowledge to unlock its potential. Whether worth a few dollars or something far greater, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar stands as a symbol of how overlooked objects can carry extraordinary stories, and sometimes extraordinary possibilities. Fourth up, the year 1979 did not produce just one Susan B. Anthony dollar story. It produced multiple shadows of the same idea, each carrying its own quiet power. Among them exists another 1979 issue that collectors speak about in lower voices, not because it is weak, but because it is misunderstood. This coin emerged during a moment when the U.S. Mint was experimenting, adjusting, and reacting in real time to public resistance. That uncertainty left behind coins that were never meant to become legendary, yet some of them did, simply because history took an unexpected turn. This version of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar represents refinement rather than introduction. It reflects a mint struggling to correct perception, appearance, and acceptance. Subtle differences in design proportions, strike depth, and visual balance separate this coin from its earlier siblings. To most people, those differences seem invisible. To collectors, they are everything. In numismatics, the smallest detail can divide the ordinary from the extraordinary, and this coin lives precisely in that narrow space. What gives this 1979 issue its strength is survival in the right form. While countless examples were handled, stacked, and eventually damaged, a limited number remained untouched. These coins are protected from friction, fingerprints, and circulation stress. Their surfaces still carry the original life of freshly struck metal, a quality that cannot be recreated once lost. This is where imagination turns into competition, and competition turns into value. Coins like this are not measured casually. They are examined slowly, patiently, and sometimes obsessively. Every curve, every letter, every reflective surface is studied for clues. When all elements align, strike quality, originality, balance, and preservation, the coin transforms. It stops being associated with failure or rejection and becomes associated with rarity, discipline, and survival. That transformation is where collectors begin to pay extraordinary attention. The story of million-level value does not come from fantasy. It comes from scarcity layered on scarcity. When a coin exists in extremely limited elite condition and demand concentrates around that narrow group, price becomes a consequence rather than a goal. Collectors at the highest level are not chasing profit. They are chasing completeness, prestige, and ownership of something others cannot obtain. That pressure reshapes the market in ways that surprise outsiders. This 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar also carries emotional weight because it represents adjustment. It reflects a system trying to fix itself while already in motion. Changes made quietly during production created coins that differed just enough to matter decades later. At the time, no one paused to save them. They were simply part of a process. That lack of awareness is what allowed rarity to grow unnoticed. Stories of discovery continue to surround this coin. Old collections, forgotten holdings, sealed storage, and inherited materials occasionally reveal examples that appear untouched by time. These moments are rare, but they are real, and when they happen, they reinforce the belief that history still has secrets waiting to be uncovered. That belief fuels collecting passion and keeps interest alive year after year. Yet knowledge remains a gatekeeper. Without understanding what gives this coin power, even a rare example could be ruined. Cleaning, polishing, or rushing to sell destroys the very qualities that create value. Coins demand respect. They reward patience and punish impulse. Those who truly succeed in this space treat coins not as quick opportunities, but as fragile pieces of history. The idea of overnight fortune captures attention, but the deeper truth is more compelling. This coin teaches that value grows quietly. It does not announce itself. It waits for the right conditions, the right market, the right collector, the right recognition. When those conditions align, prices can move in ways that feel unbelievable to those who dismiss the coin for decades. Collectors who understand this 1979 issue look beyond hype. They focus on survival rates, originality, and visual harmony. They ask how many truly remain untouched, not how many were originally produced. That shift in thinking separates casual interest from serious pursuit. And serious pursuit is what drives exceptional value. This coin's power lies in contrast. It was meant to be common, yet its finest forms are scarce. It was meant to circulate, yet its most valuable examples never did. That contradiction is not weakness. It is strength. It is what transforms overlooked metal into an object of intense desire. As time continues, fewer pristine examples remain available. Some disappear into private collections. Others are held as long-term assets. Each disappearance tightens supply and increases pressure on what remains. That slow tightening is how legends are built, not in moments, but across decades. In the end, this 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar reminds us that history does not always reveal its treasures immediately. Sometimes it hides in behind familiarity, waiting for curiosity to evolve into understanding. Whether worth a modest amount or something far greater, its true value lies in what it represents: survival, rarity, and the quiet power of overlooked history.